Well, it would help if I turned my camera on, wouldn't it? Hey, everybody. This is Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. This is the Real Estate Note Investing Be the Bank broadcast that we do live every month. And today I have Jamie Bateman on and Chris Seveney. Mr. Jay Redding is, I think he's en route or on a plane right now, so he couldn't make it on the call today. So Chris and Jamie actually have a case study that they did worked up and going to have on the show today of a note that's pretty interesting. I think you're going to get a laugh out of it. Couple of things we'll talk about today that we'll bring up here are information that I got about some other CEOs talking about if we're going to have a recession or not. So stay tuned. You know, it always cracks me up when I stumble with a camera foul there.
It happens.
I looked up and I was like, why are there 3 boxes up there?
You know you're getting old when you go from party fouls to camera fouls, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let me see here. Yeah, what we got going on there. Okay. All right. How you guys doing?
Good.
Oh, well. Yeah.
I just want to share with you the importance of where you guys stack on my list, because I'm supposed to be at a discussion right now being hosted by Jamie Dimon, but I decided I'd rather be with you two than listen to him. So
Wow.
I was invited to a Chase event in DC today, but I've been a little under the weather actually. So my energy might not be up there today. We'll see, but kind of, a little under the weather and didn't feel like trying to get other people sick. So kind of just been hiding out in my basement.
Well, thanks for putting that protective coating on your microphone so that we don't get anything that you're coughing into.
And beforehand, I was joking with Justin because I put cucumbers in my water, but because they're green, they actually don't show up. Because I have a green screen.
Oh. Jamie's got enough strength from his lacrosse days to carry you throughout the presentation today. So he's got your back.
That's right. Lacrosse days, Army days. I got you.
You've been carrying me for like 5 years. So
I don't know about that. It's, off and on. We've carried each other.
All right, those of you that are listening to us cackle around and needle at each other, you can go ahead and make a comment if you'd like on any social media platform that this is streaming on today. We will get that and we can pull up your comment. If you have a question, just wanted to say hi or make fun of one of us, we definitely encourage that. So the others that aren't getting made fun of can, add to the insult. So
share the love.
Besides being sick, Chris, is there anything else going on in your world that's new and interesting?
Got some funded a loan today that we acquired. Got another one we're going to be funding on Friday. So those are exciting. We did finish our financial audit, which has been, as I mentioned, I think last month, very painful. But all of a sudden, I looked at my watch today and I'm like, oh, it's May 8th. Now we get to resubmit to the SEC our annual filing for renewal as well. And I'm like, oh my God, just compliance. But no, things are going good. I had, so just the other thing on the note space that is interesting was, and I'll just share this real quick. I had a loan that was non-performing that we sold, but ended up buying back because the county put some violations on the property that stuck with us, and the buyer of the loan wasn't really comfortable or knew kind of what to do. We ended up buying it back from them, and this was back in January, and finally was able to, knock on wood, reach a cash for keys deal with the borrower on it, which he hasn't signed, so it's not, nothing's etched in stone, because many times we've had people say they'll take the cash for keys and not, but I got the mobile notary lined up to go, so hopefully that's try to make it as simple as possible for them.
Good. We'll hope the compliance days are going to be over soon, so you can, last another 8-9 months until the next one comes around.
Yeah, exactly. After this one, then we got this one, then an easy one in September, and then, we're done for the year.
Jamie, what about you, man? What's going on in your world?
My regular reminder never to start a reggae fund like Chris. Yeah, had a lot going on. So as you can see in the bottom there, wear a few hats right now, but as we all do.
I thought that's a URL address with all those forward
right.
slashes in there.
Exactly.
I don't have anything for me. I feel kind of
you're like
just
Madonna, Chris. You just, we
already know you.
Right. We don't need an introduction. You don't, but so I'm actually going to be taking a little bit of a step back with BIFI. I'm still
breaking news.
Breaking news. We're BIFI loan servicing is we're one of the sponsors at DME later this month, and we're going to put out a press release there with some more details. I'm still very much involved and a part of BIFI, but from the day-to-day standpoint, we got it to a point where it's really poised for growth, and I'm ready to take a step back from that and focus more on truly what my wheelhouse is, which is the mortgage note funds and investing. And I've got one fund that we're closing down this year that is it was a 3-year fund that Chris and I actually co-manage, and so we're closing that down. We're selling off assets, and so that takes a good amount of work just to shut the fund down. And the other fund, the Integrity Income Fund, is open now, and so we're looking to scale that. On a micro level, real quickly, I'm kind of like Chris. I knock on wood, I jinx this, but we're expecting a payoff here in 5 days on a loan that I could do, five of these broadcasts to do one case study on. There's so much with this one loan that, but just the fact that we may get a payoff for this loan is going to be really good.
Awesome.
Did I sell it to you?
You did. No, actually, no, I'm sorry. It's one of the few that you didn't sell to me. That's this is a note in Florida that really quickly, because it may be, I think the listeners and viewers will find this interesting. I bought this loan. Yeah, I did not buy it from you, Chris. It's a fairly high balance loan relative to the rest of our portfolio. And as soon as I bought this loan, the guy stopped paying. It was a performing loan. It was meant to just, cash flow kind of.
This is fraud one?
Yeah. And
nice.
so, not trying to hijack the show here, Justin, but the guy was sending $1,000 per month to some company that was ripping him off, promising to work with him on a loan mod and all this stuff.
Yeah.
This was several years ago. So he sent, I don't know, $10,000-$12,000 to some fraudulent company, while I spent $10,000 pursuing foreclosure. Long story short, did a loan mod, raised the principal balance, got him back on track, got him to actually trust me a little bit. He was the first borrower to schedule a call with me through my website.
Okay.
Long story, fast forward, he's been paying for a couple of years, and now we're looking to get a payoff next week. So that's something interesting that's going on.
That is interesting. Well, hope that all works out for you this Friday. I haven't had the best of luck with vehicles. I was telling Chris offline that I had my brakes locked up on me and took it to the shop. Actually, it was at my daughter's track meet. It happened. So luckily I was near where the mechanics shop is, and I could just get it over there. And then I had an Uber back home. So I've been without a truck for a while because they keep thinking they fix it, and then there's another problem that pops up. And today it's been this is the 8th day now that they've had it, and they finally are convinced that they have figured out the issue and will have it fixed tomorrow. So I'm hopeful. $1,800 later, we'll see.
Fun.
So yeah. All right, guys. Well, hang on in there and let me switch over to the PowerPoint here. This is the fun part. We wouldn't be doing this without some help from all of you guys and American note buyers. You can contact us at investors@ambfunds.com. Similar to what these guys do here, we're just a mortgage note investing company. We buy and sell loans. We manage a debt fund as well. And we price loans, I guess, is what our forte is out of the three of us. We're really good at pricing one-off deals and portfolios. So come check us out. Jay is not available today, but his company is Cassidy Investment Group. Jay actually lives a couple hours north of where I'm at in Fishers, Indiana. And he does the same thing that we all do. We buy mortgage notes, but he has a lot of rental properties as well, a good cluster of them up there in the Fort Wayne, Indiana area. And that's what kind of he does. There's his information. I'll let Mr. Chris talk about his company.
Yep. We're Seveney Investments and operate under CWS Investments for our Regulation A+ fund, which invests primarily in first position mortgage notes. The unique aspect of our fund is we are open to both accredited and non-accredited investors. So pretty much anyone over the age of 18 can invest, and our minimum investment is $5,000.
Yeah, so BIFI Loan Servicing was a startup a few years ago, and we've grown quite a bit. And BIFI is here for your loan servicing needs. So any other note buyers out there, if you need a servicer, BIFI is licensed in 25 states and growing, and looking to get Florida and Pennsylvania here very soon. So that's one of the things I have going on. And then, like I mentioned already, the Labrador Lending and Integrity Income Fund. I manage a couple of note funds just like these guys do.
Awesome. All right. So I have a podcast that's called Be the Bank. Just come out with episodes every other week for you guys to download on any podcast directory. We record it here on my YouTube channel, the American Note Buyers YouTube channel, if you happen to be on here watching the YouTube channel. And we just came out with episode number 9, season 6. So we've been doing this for quite a bit. And that's kind of our jam, is just talking about and discussing and debating, real estate note investing topics. And you'll hear some funny stories from me. Jay and his son-in-law, Kyle, they do a note talk on the last Thursday of the month from 12 to 1 p.m. on their Facebook group. So if you look up Cassidy Investment Groups on Facebook, you can check them out. Chris?
And we have Creating Wealth Simplified podcast, which we talk about not only note investing, but just alternative investing in general, things to look for in any type of deal you're looking to invest in as a limited partner.
Yeah, so got to get you the new the rebranded cover art, Justin.
Okay.
For my podcast. That's on me. We're just in the process of doing this.
You look younger in that picture.
Well, that too.
Which house did you go with?
Which house? Oh, the traditional.
Okay, I would have
one that people could tell was a house. Yes, this picture is from before COVID and before teenagers, really.
Before he met me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Before you were a note investor. There we go.
Man. But from adversity to abundance is my podcast. I was actually a co-host with Chris on the Good Deeds Note Investing podcast for almost 2 years, which is the same feed. I think, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yep.
but it's the same feed as your Creating Wealth Simplified show. My show, I'm going to be actually making it a little more specific here going forward. It's going to be mental fitness for real estate investors, real estate entrepreneurs, actually. And so both Justin and Chris have been guests on my show. So I need to get Jay on my show as well. But going to be talking about mental hacks, mental tricks and tips to stay in the game and survive and thrive and get to abundance as a real estate entrepreneur. That's what we're focused on.
Awesome. Well, as I mentioned before, there was an article that I saw today. I didn't actually read the whole article because I'm that guy that just reads the headline and makes assumptions, right? That guy on Facebook that knows it all. Just kidding. Citi chief economist says brace for a hard economic landing. I thought that was kind of interesting. And then I also read a little blurb about this where the CEO of JP Morgan Chase kind of estimates there's going to be a 65% chance, in his opinion, of a recession. Well, the Citi economists predict the Fed will cut rates 4 times a year. I thought that was interesting just to talk about. I hadn't really seen anybody else say that, with any degree of a chance or no chance of recession. Just wanted to get your guys' take on that. If you had any feedback on looking at the headline, thinking like, yeah, I can see that, or I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, Chris said he's friends with Jamie Dimon, I think, right? So
I just kissed him for the 2 of you. So you know where my friendship lies. So go ahead, Jamie, I'll let you go first.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I because it's good to be honest. I don't think anyone knows. I mean, yes, Jamie Dimon has a lot more access to a lot more data than I do and pays attention to this more than I do. But I almost feel like 65% is like a safe number. So yeah, I told you there's a 35% chance we wouldn't go into a recession.
There's a 100% chance that'll be a 65% chance of recession.
That's right.
Subset.
That's right.
Subset.
Yeah, it's no one really knows. I mean, I think it's really, the Fed is really in a tough spot right now with the looming debt and then high interest rates. It's just tough. So I would not be surprised if we do head into a recession. I mean, so I think I would go with Jamie Dimon if I had to say. I think
you're rolling the dice. Got it.
Yeah.
I think, both can be right, because I think if the Fed cuts rates 4 times, it's because the economy's struggling. From that standpoint, I don't think they're going to necessarily cut them in the booming economy because they don't want that inflation to peak again. The one thing that I'm hearing, seeing, and, a lot of people, I work with several people as well, and they have large networks. The job market out there today is not very good for trying to find opportunities out there. And there's, one of the things I do in the evening sometimes is I'll death scroll TikTok, and there's somebody on there who I've watched who, it's a woman who's, sharing her story, which it's a great story of, she went out to dinner with 5 of her friends, and 4 of them are unemployed, and they're all highly educated, and the one that isn't is the CEO of their own company. And the whole 3.7 or whatever the unemployment rate is, some things that kind of spin that number is, people who aren't eligible for unemployment aren't included in that. And a lot of this new job hire is people getting a second job because they can't afford their bills or their housing. So personally, and I'll shut up after I say this, I don't see the economy getting better. I see it getting worse before it gets better. And that's kind of how I look at how the winds blow versus, is it a recession? you know the recession's a recession after it's a recession.
Right.
You know,
After-
so it's so it's like which way is the wind blowing is how I like to look at it.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I definitely don't have a crystal ball, and I don't feel like I have enough data really to understand. I like what you both said about this. I do have a feeling that the Fed probably is going to just maintain status quo on the rates until the end of the year is what I gather a feeling on. As far as a recession, yeah, I guess I wouldn't know until it actually happens or someone comes out and says we're in a recession right now. But I'll have to roll the dice with Jamie, and Chris here on this one and say, yeah, we're not looking as good as we are, and could be smoke and mirrors like with the jobs data, and the way that you explain it, Chris, makes a lot of sense on how it can be perceived as, yeah, the unemployment rate is this, but no, it's actually because these people, this number set over here isn't qualifying to bring that true data, to what the accurate number is, and maybe it's a lot higher, because I'm seeing people around in my circle of my sphere of influence, or whatever you want to call it, my network, and there are people that have been let go recently. And so I guess with the story about the four ladies that you were talking about, that makes a lot of sense. So that's where I have it on that.
I think real quickly on the office space, just that's a lot of companies have called people back to work, and it's one way to let people go in a sort of an easy way if they choose not to return. One other thing really quickly, Justin, REI mom her name's Anna Kelly, ANNA. I figured, Chris, you knew who I'm talking about. She's really smart and follows this. She's one of the few people who did really well in school and also is a really, really good real estate investor. And so I recommend people follow her. She's really smart with this stuff. So just throwing that out. She doesn't pay me to say that.
Not yet.
Not
Checks
yet.
in the mail.
Yeah.
All right. I found this chart. This is CRE Daily, is a pretty cool little newsletter that comes out daily.
Chart of the day. Day.
Did you see this one?
No, I haven't.
Okay. This is one that came out today. So I try to keep this information fresh,
There you
so
go.
that we're up to
Keep
date.
us on our toes.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. I saw this chart. I like charts and seeing things and stuff because numbers don't lie. They just tell you what it is. And I was not surprised that data centers was at the highest part of this. This is, which U.S. asset classes present the most attractive risk-adjusted investment opportunity during the next 12 months. And so I was kind of surprised to see some of the multifamily up there. But then again, I guess I'm not, with the way that prices are dropping. It seems like is it BlackRock or whoever that's heavily investing and think they're at the bottom of some of these larger multifamily.
What I'd be interested to see is what did this look like for the last 4 years, year over year? Like what was multifamily 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, and some of these others, like, not where it is today, but also how much it has slid. Data centers has probably stayed pretty consistent. Multifamily, I think, is actually high. From that standpoint, and senior housing, I think, as well, but it's only 30%. So, where's Class A trophy office? 10%. Okay. Surprised they even put that on here.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I could see some of it being flip-flopped a couple of years ago.
When I think too, when I see multifamily that high, to me, my thought is, yeah, there are a lot of operators who are going to be running into trouble in the next year or two, and therefore there's going to be opportunity to invest, right?
So I'm already in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it does. I'm not actually surprised that multifamily, that there's an opportunity there. Yeah.
Quick little maybe pivot here on that. So the multifamily stuff, it kind of irritates me because there's misleading data out there. And so it seems like what I'm seeing, and you guys jump in if I'm wrong, rents are flat, and they've been flat for a while now. And the values of multifamily has gone down. So obviously people would think to invest in them thinking the values are going to go up. But if they're saying housing is unaffordable and people are renting, and multifamily investors are investing in this stuff, so when housing becomes more affordable, where are these renters going to go? So aren't the vacancy rates going to be higher? And then they're going to be stuck holding the bag going, okay, I invested in this thinking that we were going to have more rents. And when affordability changes, I don't know. It just seems like it's a trap or a catch-22.
Yeah. And it's interesting because like there's a lot of people out there who are I would call them inexperienced. We're like, oh, housing's just gonna keep going up. And it's like, especially rentals, I'm like, well, if the income isn't going up, then that values can't people can only afford so much, until they break. And you're right. Vacancies have started going up. There's a large multifamily syndicator who recently posted they're on their like their first three funds or whatever now on capital calls, and they're showing some statistics. And I think their vacancy rate was anywhere from like 80 to 87%. And people were like screaming about the capital call, this or that. And they posted on Bigger Pockets. And I said, it's great that everyone's picking that out, but how come nobody's talking about an 80% vacancy rate? That's like,
Wow. Was that a typo?
future. No. And somebody then commented like, yeah, they're, class D type assets that needed a lot of work, and they just have extremely high turnover, high expense ratios, and they're not really being managed properly. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I didn't advance the slide, but there was data to this, and just quickly reading it up there. This was just a market survey, and that's how this data kind of got derived there. So we can beat this up a long. I want to get to your case study.
Okay.
Because this has a cool name. It's actually probably, as a child, it's probably one of the scariest movie series that I'd ever watched, I think. I don't know why this one did it for me, but this was the one that I didn't want to watch alone.
Yeah, Freddy. Children of the Corn for me was probably the scariest. I remember Poltergeist as a kid, which couldn't sleep for a week from that. Or you get to see someone get sucked through a tube TV, you'd never sit close to it again. But
25 inches away from the television.
But what's interesting is we're like 10 years old watching those movies. Like, there's no way I'd let my 10-year-old watch.
I know. Like I know.
Benefits of being Gen X. So this one is Nightmare on Elm Street, which it was on Elm Street. It was a loan that had roughly a balance of $75,000, which had about $13,000 of it was past due. This is old school pricing because we got it for about $28,000, thankfully. And the value at the time was worth about the balance. It was non-performing, and this was one of my early joint venture deals back in the day. And it just happens that one of the individuals on this call, Mr. Bateman, was my JV partner, which I think this was your first note too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I did 2 deals in the same week, essentially, as the capital partner. And this was the first one this was my first deal ever. And I was Chris was the day-to-day manager. And we built enough trust for me to go in with him on a partnership on this deal. And so Chris was really the one who found the deal, although it is in Maryland, not too far. And I have actually been to this house, 2 or 3 times, I guess, which we'll get to. But Chris was in charge of finding the deal, managing the deal. We made decisions together, but this was a deal that we did together.
What year was this that you buy it?
I think 2020.
No,
before that. The pictures I have are from 2020. Yeah, 2018. Yep.
You bought it in 2018?
Yep.
Okay.
So
that's right.
Notes.
Spring of 2018.
Yep. So this was a contract for deed in Maryland, which don't do contract for deeds in Maryland. Strongly recommend against. We could have a whole podcast just on that.
It's questionable whether they're actually legal.
Yeah, if they're not recorded, they're basically not legal. But that's another story.
Yeah.
The borrower was a traveling nurse and was behind like 15 months on the loan, but she was like communicating, so it was interesting, with that. And, she was very sporadic in her pay history. I mean, we had financial statements from her, and she was making really good money as a traveling nurse. Don't know where all that money was going, but, it was kind of like a payment here, payment there, back and forth and so on.
Okay.
So what we wanted to do on this was, okay, let's get the borrower on a modification and basically see if we could get the, modify, get 12 payments, turn around, sell the loan. So that was our plan. We actually got the modification. and she started making her payments, and almost got to about a year, and then basically all hell broke loose. Freddie just started scraping the mirror, scraping the metal posts, or whatever happened. But man, oh man, this complete borrower went completely unresponsive, and they went unresponsive. And at the same time, I started getting calls from the water department because um, they had a little bit of an outstanding bill, and it was contract for deed, so it was in our name.
Yeah.
So you can go to the next one. And for those that can online, you can see that the water bill is $10,000. That's not a typo. That is not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
And let me
yeah.
really quickly, just from my perspective,
Sure.
and I was and Chris was very good about communicating in general across the board with this deal. But I recall listening to Chris and Gail, who was Chris's co-host at the time on the Good Deeds Note Investing podcast. And I'm driving to work, and I hear him talking about a deal in Maryland with a $10,000 water bill. And I said, I wonder if that's my deal. And as hopefully most everyone can gather at this point, it was. And so we spoke, right after that. So that's how I found out about the $10,000 water bill, was through a podcast.
So hey, I communicate to everybody. But
Yeah,
I will say one thing that I would do as a joint venture partner, and I think Jamie, this was the case on this one. I had to pay. We paid a bunch of this money. I don't think I've ever asked you for an extra penny afterwards, did I?
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
So Jamie fronted the acquisition price plus some holding cost, which that lasted us not very long.
Not very long in this
But
case.
once we started bleeding, once we basically got the full Freddie, knives in our chest, I basically took the brunt of that and bled, because I was like, okay, I'm not going to go out back to my joint venture partner and get another. You'll see how much money we spent on this after the fact. So I started putting the money out of pocket. But the interesting thing on this leak was the borrower was like, well, no, I had a plumber come fix it. And it was a running toilet that allegedly she had fixed. And the county was like, if you can give us a receipt, we'll like discount the bill. And then she got like made up a fake receipt, which was literally like, somebody, taking chicken scratch on the back of a CVS receipt that's like this long, and just handing that, which the county's like, no. We tried to work with the county, like, sorry, can't help you. So we were basically stuck with this $10,000 water bill that we got a payment plan with the county on.
Wow.
So after the water bill, and realizing she was also responsible for that, Bar's like, you know what? Screw this property. I'm out of here. But she forgot one important thing to take with her when she left, which was Jamie.
Her dog.
Yes. So she was letting a dog live alone in this house, and actually had somebody come take care of the dog. But think about a dog. Basically, this person would come. They weren't even coming daily. So think of a dog basically just living alone in a house and giving it a week's worth of food. What that would look like.
Oh my God.
Well,
I
we'll
ended
tell
up.
you what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. I'll save it.
So finally, after many offerings of things, we finally got the borrower to agree to a deed in lieu. I think actually she agreed once and then didn't show up, it wasn't like, this was a pretty lengthy, stressful process. I had a full head of hair and was blonde at that point in time.
That's why I'm gray.
Yeah.
And it was all the way. I think our attorney said it was at the 5-yard line, the foreclosure, because we had to do a foreclosure, but even on a contract for deed. And so it was very close to foreclosure happening, and then she finally did agree. Yep.
Did you know about the dog living in there before you got to the deed in lieu?
No.
I don't think
You didn't know about the dog till you actually got pictures, right?
After we get the deed in lieu, we got the deed in lieu. We sent a preservation company or something, and the neighbor, somebody came over to the house or something, and was like, "Oh, I'm like taking care of the dog or something." Like, well, it was Crazy.
Okay. I got pictures for everybody. We got a lot of pictures. You're going to see the inside of this house and a little bit of the outside of what it looks like.
And just in case anybody is a technical person with this, so just technically speaking, CFD really is a cancellation of land contract because Chris already has his entity owns the title, is on title. So most people are familiar with deed in lieu, so that's why we did deed in lieu for the slide. But the truth is, it's a cancellation of land contract, cancels the contract. Chris has, ownership of the property, or Chris and I do.
Well, thanks for
I
that
was like,
clarification.
Jamie, you can own this property, baby.
Yeah.
It's all yours. So the borrower, left us some presents, which this is one of them, which was an abandoned truck that then it's like the county started fining us for the abandoned truck. So it's like, how do you get rid of an abandoned truck? Which I think we just like called a tow company or something, didn't we? And just had somebody just come tow it.
Called the local college football fullback to strap it onto as
Right.
some sort of training tool.
Yeah, we just called and had it towed. Said, hey, somebody just left this car on our property and come grab it. And they came and took it. And I think the tow companies, after a certain period of time, they will, scrap it for parts. So, yep. And then yes, we were. We took foreclosure here. It was land cancellation of land contract.
Well, there's some technical. We had to do a foreclosure because it's Maryland, so they don't really recognize the
the
CFD, but it's not really a deed in lieu anyway. Yeah,
exactly. So drum roll, please. We spent about $30,000 between the water bill, legal on this, back and forth with the cancellation of land contract. Don't do a land contract in Maryland. I can say that repeatedly. And then the cleaning out the property. I mean, this place was,
just
spit
broom.
shined.
It was broom swept, right?
It was spit shined. Spit shined. So you can go to the next one.
So you spent $30,000 above and beyond the acquisition price and whatever holding costs that you had.
Correct. Now we did get some payments from the borrower during that time. So essentially, we did list the property and ended up selling it to a fix and flipper for around $60,000. Jamie, knew who the realtor was on this deal as well. So, which they were laughing at this property like, oh my God.
He's my father.
Yeah. So.
And it was one of those, like, he'll normally, do like most realtors, they want to sell the property and they want to tout how great it is and all the, the positives about the property, why you should live there and all this stuff, or buy it at least. But, there were parts where he just said, do not go down the basement steps if you visit it, just because, you don't want people to, you want to actually sell the property. You don't want a lot of people to come visit and be interested, but not actually offer.
This isn't a place that you take your family to check out.
No. So, and again, from my perspective, this is my first deal, right? And I'm like, what is this note investing thing? This guy, Chris Seveney, knows what he's doing. And so mind you, the 75,000 we think is the value of the property. Well, that was definitely coming down. I think originally we thought it was even higher than that, but this
was like 100 and something.
Exactly.
Zillow was like 125, and we're like, oh, we're fine, we're covered.
Right. It was like, we were 33% of property value originally, we thought, something like that, and then property value is just coming down and down and down because we're realizing how much disrepair it's in, and then $30,000 more than the purchase price. So I was not, it wasn't looking good.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, maybe it's better because there's like a Great Wolf Lodge or something going in the area and stuff. And
which I've been to since then.
So, but the way I structure my JV deals is I make sure my partner's parents make more money than my partner. That's how I structure my deals, because that's what happened in this case.
Basically, the real estate agent and the attorney are the ones who made out like bandits.
Yeah, they had no skin in the game. They were just collecting checks, right?
So we made a whopping $859.68.
Wow. You have to pay taxes on that?
I don't know, Jamie, did you pay taxes on it? Because I think did I give all it to you? I can't
I think
remember.
that was an issue, remember, because it was the out of state. You remember that? It was an out
Oh
of state.
yeah.
Maryland has a law where if like Chris's entity it was in Virginia,
Yeah.
registered in Virginia, so he's an out of state investor. So you didn't get that owner occupied tax break. So I think we had to fight that as well. I don't remember how that went. I think we eventually won that issue, but yeah, I was actually shocked that I think you may have sent me the whole profit, Chris. But I was shocked that there was anything left in this deal.
I was shocked too, because I was like thinking, oh man, I'm gonna
lose money.
I'm gonna
lose money.
Yeah.
Hey, that's still a good day.
And we learned a lot.
Here's some photos.
The good part.
So I just grabbed, Jamie and Chris haven't seen my slideshow yet. So I just grabbed like, I don't know, 10 or 12 pictures that I thought were just pretty cool pictures, really clean. This is probably the best looking picture that I could find.
Oh, you're making this place look like
it's not that bad, right? It's not that bad. Okay, I can see a little bit of clutter here and there. So I'm sure this is the same throughout the whole house. What was there? This is like a bookshelf.
Yeah.
Built in. Like a baby gate for the dog.
And this is a big house too.
Oh yeah, it does look. It's a 3-story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we go, starting to see some of the. Yeah.
So the dog was here, and all this was happening. Like all this stuff is around. So the dog probably could have hurt themselves pretty easily with stuff, right?
I think there was if I recall, there was actually a crate. I think it was a big dog with a big crate.
Yeah, it was a big dog that shredded one of the doors because they locked it in certain rooms.
Jesus.
So
do not enter. That must be where Eddie hangs out in there.
Sometimes
what's behind door number 1? Oh, is that the crate?
Yes, I think it is.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That thing is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
That looks like a hallway. Is that a hallway?
I think so.
Or is that looking back towards that door that we were looking at? Yeah. Yeah, quite a bit of debris in there, huh?
But this is after a good bit of the cleanup, just to be clear.
Okay.
Yeah, this was after the cleanup. Yeah, Jamie took a picture of all the stuff in the front yard when it was getting trashed out, and it looked like the local recycling center where everyone just dumped all their stuff on the weekend.
Yep.
It's
pretty. Everything looks up to code there, so we can move on.
Right.
What's with the little entrance down there at the bottom of this faux fireplace here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what this is, and it's like the one nice piece of tile, somebody
right.
wanted to take a tile class one weekend or something.
It's where the tooth fairy comes in and out of the chimney or something. And what's with the overnight luggage there on the van?
I was hoping there'd be bag of drugs or money or something in it, but if it was, then Jamie didn't tell me about it.
Right.
It's that pill that they take in Limitless. It's a bunch of that in there. And it's like the perfect place to hide it. No one would ever look here. More crap. I noticed there's a nice book down there. It's kind of funny, people's stuff that they leave around. It's just like, you actually would do that, and you live like this?
Yeah,
lots of valuable stuff that they left behind. So what's with all the? Oh, that's your contractor that come in there to clean stuff up. Is that some of their stuff?
No, that was stuff that was left. That's like the wall pan. I mean, the wall was ripped apart. I think she knew there was water issues in the house and just sent people around trying to figure it out or whatnot, because you can see the two on the left-hand side, the two pipes coming up where this was a bathroom that they were trying to get redone. So I think
like there was a bathtub, right?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can see the little valve. Same thing. You can see some. This is, I think, where the
water heater
was. But yeah.
And for those just tuning in, this is a tour of Chris's house in Virginia right now.
That's and the nice white picket fence. So when you list the house for sale, it's like, hey, the beautiful white picket fence.
Well, I was looking at the 2x4s that are streaming across the porch there.
That's not even a house, is it?
That's that's next door.
That's
the neighbor.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. My bad. Here's some of it.
Here we
looks like.
go. Yeah. So
Nice little box fan there. I'm sure there's some broken windows up there.
There were. You are correct.
oh yeah, there are lots of broken
If
windows.
somebody bought this, you would think it'd probably be easier just to bulldoze the house and start over. I mean,
And
there's so many things that had to be
Okay,
repaired.
so one thing I forgot that is the siding, because we looked into
lead paint, right?
that, but there was the asbestos tile siding rather. And so I got a couple of estimates if I recall, or maybe you got, I can't remember, but you were talking, 20 grand just to deal with the asbestos.
Okay.
So that's why we considered tearing it down as well, but it was just too big of a project and too expensive.
Yep.
So I am curious if the guy who bought this,
He did
made
not
money,
make money
because he
There's
did
no
sell
way.
it, but
Yeah, but he dropped the price. Like he started at like 400 grand and ended up, I think, in the threes.
yeah.
Wow. I just noticed in that back door there with a very large step up to get into the house there.
Yeah, that's for code.
Right.
That's definitely a trip
Right.
hazard. Is this the house here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a nice,
Yeah.
cool looking house if it was like done right, but man,
It's
oh
got
man.
direct TV. I mean, hey,
Right. What else do you need?
No. Oh, the dog
Um,
needs something to do during the day.
that's right.
So,
No, it was a cool house at one time, and it's a pretty decent location, like you said. And, it's just, yeah, it's, I'm sure. Yeah. I don't
So
know who lived there before, but
you weren't concerned with securing the property, were you?
no, the back door was wide open. You could just walk right in.
You're welcome to live
Yeah.
here as long as you take 4 things when you leave.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So what are the other lessons learned here with this deal? Like, did you know it was going to look like this when you got it? Like from the outside, did the pictures look like this at all?
No, and well, Chris, I think that's one of the the risks with note investing. If you're originating loans, there's usually an appraisal done that where you can get inside the house, right?
Mhm.
Buying a note, where the lender just changes hands, we don't usually get inside the house. And so, yeah, I think this was. I mean, we didn't think it was in tip-top shape, but we didn't think it was going to be as bad as it turned out to be.
This is why I tell people when you first get into the note space, do not do a non-performing loan first. Do not make that your first choice unless you are really experienced an investor and or you're doing it with a partner like you were doing that with Chris. Because it can just turn into a catastrophe very quickly. I did my first deal. I think it was a non-performer. I bought a performing and non-performing at the same time, and I wish I wouldn't have bought the non-performer first. I definitely learned my lesson and still licking my wounds from that episode.
Well, even the case on this one, for example, like you mentioned, even JVing with somebody, like imagine if I went to Jamie and said, "Oh, by the way, I need another $30,000." Like, I could only imagine the response I would have gotten back from Jamie to basically, "Hey, the JV deal says you got to put the money in if I need extra money."
Right.
But for me, it's like, hey, I'm not gonna, just the way I do business. I wasn't gonna go back to him and say, "Hey, give me another $30,000." But some people will, because a lot of people who start with JVs don't have that cash available, and then you're just stuck because you can't spend any more on legal. The servicer's not doing anything, and then all of a sudden the taxes and everything just sit. So it's like then you got to sell the loan, and then they're probably going to sell it at a loss. Which if we would have had to sell this thing in the state that it was in, we probably would have lost. I mean, we were probably in it for like 50, at the time, 10 or 15 grand. Probably would have still sold it for probably what we bought it for. So we probably would have eaten $10,000 or $15,000 of it. So, that's, great point. The thing that I look back at this one and some of the things like you mentioned, the outside, looked like a house. Yeah, of course, it needed some work, but, understand, and this is something we spend a ton of time on right now, is understanding the borrower, who they are, what they do, what's their history, kind of, are they gonna, is it somebody who wants to keep the property or somebody who's gonna be adversarial? And we've gotten a lot better over the last 6 years and understanding kind of that borrower situation. As an example, last year, With our fund, we had a total of 155 loans, and we had 6 foreclosures. So,
Mm,
Pretty good.
Wow.
we try and keep,
That's good.
somebody in a Facebook group posted like, "Oh, we foreclose like 75% of the time." I was
Mm.
like, "Wow, that's
Hmm.
odd." I mean, certain people, that's all they want to do,
Yeah.
but I'm like, you should, maybe
Mhm.
do a little better due diligence. I don't know, but 75% is a high number.
The other couple of other, I guess, lessons, these to Chris's point about the borrower, be careful about these lumpy payers. That's where it's one thing. I've had success with doing loan modifications with, on a borrower who, maybe something happened a year or two ago and they lost their job, but there's still a ton of communication with the borrower, and you can tell they're making payments fairly consistently, but they're behind a year or two, but they're making payments fairly regularly. That's a different scenario than a borrower who's making payments once every 4 to 6 months gets caught up. You can really get stuck, especially on a low balance loan, on these notes that fall, delinquent, and then they get caught up, and then they're delinquent and caught up, because one, your servicer is going to charge you more for loss mitigation.
Yeah.
Two, you're going to be paying for legal demand letter, all that stuff. Then they get caught up, which is great. You think, oh, they're reinstated, I got all this money coming in. Well, then they stop paying for another 8 months. So to me, it's like I'd rather buy an actual non-performing loan than these lumpy payers that are kind of in between.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then also just the property is, it's unique. I mean, it's a big house, and I guess for this area, maybe it's not unique, but I don't know, looking for this type of property.
Looks like a fraternity house.
Yeah, exactly. So like Chris said, it's in Perryville. There's a Great Wolf Lodge. I think a brewery went in. So there's actually some cool things going on around it. But the house itself, I mean, I don't know. It's like too much. And then that leads to the clean out cost and the repair costs being exorbitant.
There's a lot of unknowns with non-performers, and I know you guys know that. But I was trying to think of an analogy when you guys were talking, and when you buy a non-performer, your money's in jail, and you can't get it out until it's time to sit in front of the people that let you out of jail, and it costs a lot of time and money, and that's what you have to just consider, is that you don't know when you're going to get your money back. Now, if you make the right decision, you're going to make money on it. It's just that you just don't know when it's going to hit. You're hopeful, like Chris and Jamie were saying, that you can do a workout and get these people to pay, or best case scenario, you're like, okay, if we can't make that deal work, just sign the deed in lieu like you guys were trying to do, and then just take it back and work with it. But your money's in jail when you're non-performing loan.
Right. I it's kind of like a fix and flip, but longer. It's like you're not getting payments, you're not getting cash flow. One other quick thing on this is if everyone back in the day was like, CFDs, you can take the property back real fast if need be, with a contract for deed. Well, make sure that's actually true in the state that you're buying these in. If you're buying a contract for deed, and spend a couple $100 and have an attorney help you with your due diligence, and ask them, can I foreclose? Is there an issue here? Because I've had other deals where we've got to do a full judicial foreclosure when we didn't think we'd have to necessarily. And so just spend that time and money up front to do proper due diligence.
And we did on this one. It was just
we
matter of
did.
It's like,
exactly.
oh, we'll foreclose. That's fine. But I
Right.
see people today more originating a lot of loans, like in Georgia, Florida, Maryland, Virginia, Missouri, Tennessee. They're originating these contract for deeds, which you don't need to. It's going to take longer. Like Florida, you still have to foreclose. Like there is zero benefit for a contract for deed in Florida. Georgia, it confuses the courts and what they have to do. Whereas literally, I filed for foreclosure in Georgia today. I'm foreclosing in July. Like why, in these non-judicial states. Now, where you are, Justin, Indiana, yes, a contract for deed has benefit. Ohio can have some benefit. Michigan, a little bit, but not really, because Michigan's pretty fast foreclosure state. But certain states, yes, it's okay. But I just see people just playing copycat and like, oh, I'm just going to do land contracts in all these states because I'm not going to give them the deed until I'll keep my name on it. It's like you're hurting yourself.
Yeah, we're neither one of us. And I know you guys aren't investing in land contracts and stuff anymore, but you devalue that instrument for someone on the secondary market to buy it, and it's more of a pain in the butt to convey title to somebody when it's a note, because like you said before, the counties get so confused that where they're going to send the tax statements. You're going to get all the code enforcement stuff. I mean, you're going to get, and the counties never keep up with owner changes anyway, especially on quit claims. And so I continue to get stuff from deals that I've traded out, 4 or 5 years ago, just because I just don't keep up with it. So it's just not, there's no reason to do it unless you have underlying debt that forces you to do that. But you can always put language in there that I see people do. When the time comes when I pay off my debt, I would like to revisit your financial statements and actually convert this to a note mortgage,
Spend the time to underwrite your borrower. And that's really what it is. And people are just like, oh, I'm going to do 0% financing or 0 down to this borrower. And basically he doesn't have a pot to piss in, but I'm going to give him a loan on this property and do his contract for deed. So I can just walk in and boot him out at any point in time, which you still can't do that. There's still.
Just read the headlines, watch the news with all these people that are able to squat in the properties forever because, that's why you got to read through that underwriting very quickly.
Yep.
And not very quickly, very thoroughly. We all buy liens here. I specialize in buying first liens. That's really what I'll buy is residential first liens, contracts for deeds, land contracts. We'll probably end up converting them when we buy them. I make that clear up front. Note and mortgages, deed of trust, lease options, whatever they are, that's what we buy. These guys all buy them too. Probably not the contract for deed stuff per se, but unless you want to convert them, they'll probably be interested. But do you guys buy anything outside of what I just said?
Once in a while, we might buy a second here and there. Typically, don't do heckums. One thing I'll just mention about contract for deeds, I've bought over 150 of them. If you know what you're doing, they're actually, you can make good money on them. There are some headaches that deal with them. Like Justin, you buy them and you know what to do with them. I was referring to more people like who have no idea and they're just like, oh, I'm just told this is what I should be doing, and they have no experience at all. And then that's the ones that are very difficult to get transferred on that secondary market. But there's still a market for them and a place. I didn't want to, while I sit there and bash them, I'm also the guy who's bought hundreds of them and made a lot of money off them as well. It's just,
all three of us are talking out both sides of our mouth with that.
Yeah, you just could be experienced. That's really what it comes down to is having that experience with them. One thing I don't think I've ever done is the lease option. I've looked at it, but never got into them.
I don't think we've ever bought one either. I don't think we've actually ever bought a second before, to be honest with you. I think we've only bought first liens.
I bought a couple 2 seconds, and I've got a little bit into land notes as well. Done a couple of co-lending deals on a parcel of land, and then purchased a couple of land notes, but that's a whole separate beast. You got to be careful with that as well. Those are hard to value. Definitely. The property.
All right. So quickly, next time we're going to be on the show is Wednesday, June 12th from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. And all of our companies are up here sponsoring the event. And we do have a little Facebook group that's just a private group for this real estate note investing Be the Bank broadcast. I kind of wanted to set that up. I set it up a while ago with the intention of like, hey, if you have questions about a deal, or if you are looking or we'll have a case study or something that we can bring on the show and talk about it, we'd be more than happy to do that. These guys are all in the group as well that can help answer some questions, but mainly don't get your advice from somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about.
Just recognize that I'm usually very kind and polite in my responses. Jamie, a little snarky a little bit, but
Wow. Okay. Is that how you see it?
All right.
Did you see the comment from Brett the other day when what's your one thing as a note investor? And I think I made a comment like, trying to be more like, I forget what I said, but he texted me and just died. He's like, got a long way to go.
Chris will keep you on your toes. It's always entertaining. That's for sure.
He is.
Yes.
All right. Something I'm seeing a lot of is new originators that we were talking about earlier, but new originators in land. and it seems to be a hot topic that I'm seeing on the trade desk, to where they're okay at buying land, I would say, but they really don't understand the fundamentals of just underwriting somebody.
Yeah.
And they typically like to push the button and say that I can only get 5% down. I can only get a couple percent down. I can only get 500 down. And the national average for a seller finance land note down payment is 30%.
Okay. Yeah. I think a lot of land note loan originators don't understand how to value the note. If they go to sell it, they don't, they want 100% of
everybody wants 100%.
Yeah.
And that's what they think. And they don't understand, like, you just created a cash flowing investment, and you're not going to get your money until 10, 20, 30 years in the future, but you want it all today. Like, do you not understand what you just did?
Yeah. So on that point, Justin, I have coming up here shortly in the next few weeks. I'm going to have Chris Seveney on debate. Yeah. to debate mortgage note investing versus land note investing with Mark Podolsky, who's one of the more well-known land investors out there. So that'll be interesting, because we are definitely starting to see a lot more land notes and land investors.
I like land notes.
Yeah.
Two Polacks talking notes. Can't get any better than that.
Nice.
And with that, we're out of time. All right.
There's always something at the very end.
You didn't think I'd come after you with that one, did you? Probably didn't realize I'm Polish, so
I can see.
I thought you were from Africa, like South Africa, right?
That's my uncle, who has all the money. So,
yeah,
because his king
is it Cougarans? Is that what they're called? I remember that from Lethal Weapon. I don't know why. I remember random facts of fun. So,
great movie. Nice.
All right. Thanks for everyone watching the live stream of this broadcast. You can obviously watch the replay on any social media platform that this is streaming on, which I believe it's my LinkedIn, a Facebook group, Chris's YouTube channel, our YouTube channel. I think I have my X, or what they used to call Twitter, on there. And then I think, Jamie, it's on your LinkedIn channel as well.
Yep.
So go check
what, Chris?
I was gonna say it's on your OnlyFans page, but
oh my! But you didn't say that, at least, right?
I didn't say that. No, I wanted to say it, but I didn't.
Yeah, but you held back.
I just said it to you.
It's okay. We're still recording. Okay,
that's okay. I just said it out there to end.
All right, these three idiots will be on again in June. We'll see you guys. See you guys next month. Thanks, guys.
Take care.